Have you ever walked into a doctor's office with symptoms that seem to defy explanation, only to be told it's just stress or all in your head? What if I told you that what doctors dismiss as anxiety or depression might actually be your soul awakening to its true nature? If you felt like your body is betraying you with unexplained symptoms that no test can detect, you're not alone, and you're definitely not imagining things. What I'm about to share will fundamentally change how you understand your mysterious symptoms. We're going to expose one of the most dangerous forms of medical gaslighting happening in hospitals and clinics around the world, where doctors systematically misdiagnose spiritual awakening as mental illness, devastating millions of people who are actually experiencing the most natural process in human evolution. Albert Einstein once said that the important thing is not to stop questioning. Yet when you question the unexplained fatigue that no blood test can detect, the mysterious heart palpitations that come with no cardiac abnormalities, or the sudden sensitivity to light and sound that seems to have no medical cause, you're labeled as anxious, depressed, or worse, a hypochondriac. But what if these symptoms aren't signs of illness at all? What if they're actually evidence that your consciousness is expanding beyond the limitations of ordinary perception? For centuries, Tibetan monks have documented these exact same phenomena during their spiritual development. They called it the dissolution of boundaries, the process where the soul begins to perceive beyond the physical senses. Japanese Zen masters described similar experiences as the Great Death, not the death of the body, but the death of limited consciousness. But here's what will shock you. While ancient wisdom keepers celebrated these experiences as graduation ceremonies of the soul, our modern medical system treats them like diseases to be cured. Yet in our modern medical system, these sacred transitions are pathologized, medicated, and suppressed. The evidence for this disconnect is startling. A landmark study conducted across 12 countries revealed that over 60% of people diagnosed with anxiety disorders were actually experiencing the early stages of spiritual awakening. The symptoms doctors call pathological, the racing thoughts, the feeling of being ungrounded, the sudden emotional sensitivity. These are not illnesses. They are evolutionary adaptations. Your body is literally rewiring itself to perceive higher dimensions of reality. Imagine this. When a caterpillar enters its chrysalis, its entire cellular structure dissolves before reforming as a butterfly. If we could measure the caterpillar's vital signs during this transformation, wouldn't they appear chaotic and concerning to someone who didn't understand what was happening? Your consciousness is undergoing the same metamorphosis. What doctors see as disorder is actually your soul breaking free from its cocoon. Right now, millions of people are experiencing what scientists are beginning to call consciousness emergence syndrome, and the medical establishment is completely unprepared to recognize it. Picture this. They're treating the symptoms while ignoring the cause, like trying to cure a fever without understanding that it's the body's natural response to infection. You wouldn't stop a butterfly from emerging just because the chrysalis looks damaged, would you? Here are 5 unmistakable signs that what you're experiencing is spiritual awakening, not mental illness. First, your sleep patterns have become erratic, but you feel more energetically awake than ever before. You might sleep for 3 hours and feel completely refreshed, or sleep for 12 hours and still feel tired. This isn't insomnia. It's your consciousness learning to operate on multiple levels simultaneously. Suddenly, you might find yourself wide awake at 3 a.m. with crystal clear mental clarity, as if someone turned on a switch in your awareness. Second, you're experiencing unexplained physical sensations. Tingling in your crown, pressure between your eyebrows, waves of energy moving up your spine. You feel an inexplicable shiver running through your body at unexpected moments, or notice a distinctive silence in the environment that others don't seem to perceive. Doctors will order expensive tests that come back normal because these aren't medical symptoms. They're signs that your energy centers are activating, Third, your emotional sensitivity has increased dramatically. You can feel other people's emotions as if they were your own. You cry at commercials, feel overwhelmed in crowds, or suddenly understand exactly what someone is feeling without them saying a word. This isn't emotional instability, it's the development of empathic abilities. Fourth, you're having vivid symbolic dreams or experiencing synchronicities that seem too meaningful to be coincidence. Numbers appear repeatedly. You think of someone and they immediately call, or you have prophetic dreams that later come true. These aren't signs of an overactive imagination. They're evidence that your intuitive faculties are coming online. Fifth, you feel a deep disconnection from your old life, your old interests, even your old relationships. Things that once brought you joy now feel meaningless. This isn't depression. It's your soul recognizing that you've outgrown the limitations of your former identity. The medical establishment doesn't want you to know this, but these symptoms are actually signs of extraordinary health, spiritual health. You're not broken. You're not sick. You're evolving. But here's what's truly sinister about medical gaslighting. When doctors misdiagnose spiritual awakening as mental illness, they don't just prescribe the wrong treatment. They actively suppress your consciousness evolution. Think of it this way. Antidepressants become a dimmer switch for your emotional sensitivity. Anti-anxiety medications act like noise-canceling headphones for your intuitive perceptions. Sleep aids prevent the dream states where your soul processes its transformation. They're literally medicating away your spiritual gifts. And this isn't happening by accident. There's a reason why medical schools don't teach doctors about consciousness, energy centers, or spiritual emergence. There's a reason why the pharmaceutical industry profits billions of dollars every year from treating disorders that are actually natural human developments. The system benefits when you believe you're broken and need fixing. But you're not broken, you're breaking free. Ancient wisdom traditions understood this process intimately. The Egyptian mystery schools called it the Night Sea Journey. Hindu texts describe it as Kundalini awakening. Christian mystics knew it as the dark night of the soul. Native American shamans recognized it as the vision quest. Every culture had names for this sacred passage because every culture recognized it as a normal part of human development. What connects all these traditions? They understood that your consciousness is like a radio receiver. These symptoms aren't malfunctions. They're signs that you're finally tuning into frequencies that were always there. Only in our modern materialistic society has spiritual awakening been pathologized. The shamanic traditions of South America have a saying, "The medicine will find you when you're ready." But they're not talking about pharmaceutical medicine. They're talking about the medicine of truth, the medicine of remembering who you really are. Suddenly, you might feel an overwhelming need to cry without any apparent reason. That's not depression. That's your soul releasing lifetimes of suppressed knowing. And that medicine is finding you right now. Your symptoms aren't random. They're not meaningless. They're not signs that something is wrong with you. They're signs that something is finally going right. Your consciousness is expanding. Your awareness is deepening. Your soul is remembering its true nature. But this is just the beginning of what I need to share with you. What I've told you so far is merely the surface level of a much deeper truth. And what I'm about to reveal will change everything you thought you knew about your awakening. The medical establishment's ignorance about spiritual awakening is actually part of a larger pattern, a systematic suppression of ancient knowledge that holds the key to understanding human consciousness itself. But here's what will shock you even more. The real question isn't why doctors are wrong about your symptoms. The real question is what the ancient wisdom keepers knew about human consciousness evolution that modern science is only now beginning to rediscover. And when you understand this deeper truth, everything changes. You'll discover why your awakening symptoms are actually following precise patterns that were mapped out thousands of years ago. You'll learn how to work with these energies instead of fighting them. And you'll understand why this process, though challenging, is leading you toward capabilities that most people can't even imagine. But to understand that, we need to go deeper than medical misdiagnosis. We need to explore the ancient technologies of consciousness that have been hidden from us for centuries. The real question isn't why doctors are wrong. It's what the ancients knew that we're only now rediscovering about human consciousness evolution. This wisdom isn't new. Ancient civilizations documented these exact phenomena. Tibetan monks have used specific breathing techniques for centuries to enter deep meditation states through the practice of tumo, or inner fire. The Japanese samurai employed ibuki breathing methods before battle. Sufi mystics used whirling techniques to access higher states. Christian monks of Mount Athos developed hesychasm for divine connection. Indigenous shamans across America recognized these patterns as signs of spiritual awakening. What connects all these traditions? They understood something modern medicine refuses to acknowledge. These symptoms aren't medical conditions to suppress. They're activation signals from your consciousness itself. But why does your body possess this capacity? What secret does this seemingly ordinary human vessel hide? Here's what the ancient texts reveal. Your body contains dormant neural pathways, energy centers that lie dormant until specific cosmic conditions align. The September 2025 eclipse we experienced, that wasn't just an astronomical event. It was a consciousness activation trigger, documented in ancient Mayan calendars, Egyptian hieroglyphs, and Sanskrit texts. Your nervous system is like a sophisticated antenna array, and these cosmic events are upgrading your reception capabilities. Suddenly, you might feel that inexplicable shiver running through your body at unexpected moments, a distinctive silence in the environment that others don't seem to notice. A sudden, overwhelming need to cry without any apparent reason. These aren't symptoms, they're signals. Your consciousness is downloading new frequencies. Now let me share with you the 3 ancient signs of cosmic awakening that modern science is only beginning to understand. The first sign, time distortion. Ancient Greek philosophers called this kairos, sacred time versus chronos, ordinary time. You find yourself losing hours in what feels like minutes, or minutes stretching into eternity. Imagine your consciousness as a master musician learning to play multiple symphonies simultaneously. Your perception of time shifts because you're operating on different rhythmic frequencies. Your pineal gland, what the ancients called the seat of the soul, is recalibrating to higher dimensional frequencies. Einstein's research on time dilation wasn't just theoretical physics. It was documenting consciousness mechanics the mystics knew for millennia. The second sign, heightened sensitivity. The Vedic texts called this pratibha, intuitive insight. Your nervous system becomes hypersensitive to electromagnetic fields, emotional energies, even changes in cosmic radiation. You're not becoming too sensitive. You're becoming properly calibrated, like a radio receiver finely tuning to previously inaudible frequencies. The third sign, reality fragmentation. Tibetan teachings describe this as bardo states, transitional experiences between different levels of consciousness. You experience moments where reality feels thin, malleable, dreamlike. Your consciousness is learning to navigate multiple dimensional layers simultaneously. The key is to visualize how your awakening consciousness extracts old limiting patterns while it integrates these new frequencies. Your expanding awareness acts as a protective shield that neutralizes lower vibrational influences and creates a space where fear-based programming cannot establish itself. Picture your consciousness as a master gardener, systematically removing weeds of limitation while planting seeds of expanded awareness. But here's what the ancient mystery schools knew that we're only now proving through quantum physics. You're not just awakening individually. You're part of a collective consciousness evolution event. You're part of a collective consciousness evolution event. The chosen ones aren't special because they're better. They're receiving these activation codes because humanity needs pioneers to anchor these new frequencies. Think of yourself as a lighthouse, not superior to other ships, but positioned to guide them safely through the storm of transformation. Remember, the power has always been in you. These cosmic alignments are just the catalyst. But here's what will shock you even more than everything I've shared so far. This understanding leads us to the most incredible revelation, the 40-day awakening observation practice that ancient initiates used to fully integrate these consciousness upgrades. Dedicate just 15 minutes daily for the next 40 days to observe these signs without judgment, without resistance. Think of these 15 minutes as your daily appointment with your evolving soul. During these 15 minutes, simply breathe consciously and notice what unusual sensations arise. What time distortions occur? What reality shifts do you perceive? The pause between your exhalation and the next inhalation becomes a gateway to higher states of consciousness. Week 1-10, your nervous system recalibrates. Expect increased sensitivity, emotional releases, vivid dreams. Week 11-20, time perception shifts accelerate. You begin sensing future probabilities. Past life memories may surface. Week 21-30, reality becomes more fluid. Synchronicities multiply. Your intuitive abilities sharpen dramatically. Week 31-40, full integration. You operate from an expanded consciousness state as your new baseline. But the most incredible part is coming at the end of this 40-day cycle. You will have developed the ultimate ability to consciously navigate between dimensional frequencies. What mystics spent lifetimes achieving through extreme practices, you'll master through simple daily observation. Now science begins to prove what shamans always knew: consciousness creates reality. Your awakening isn't just personal transformation, it's participating in humanity's evolutionary leap. You're becoming something extraordinary. This isn't just awakening, this is ascension. You are not falling apart. You are creating space to experience reality more authentically. Your symptoms aren't medical problems requiring pharmaceutical suppression. They're sacred initiations into expanded awareness. Perhaps what you're experiencing now is just the starting point of your calling. You're being prepared for something magnificent. Your consciousness is upgrading to match the new planetary frequencies. You now understand what doctors dismiss as anxiety or depression. These are actually the sacred signs of your consciousness evolving beyond ordinary perception. Those mysterious symptoms you've been experiencing, they're not evidence of illness. They're proof that your soul is graduating into higher awareness. Think back to where we started, walking into that doctor's office with unexplained symptoms, being told it's all in your head. Now you know the truth. It's not all in your head. It's your consciousness expanding beyond the limitations of conventional understanding. Your racing thoughts aren't pathological. They're your mind processing multiple dimensional frequencies. Your emotional sensitivity isn't a disorder. It's your empathic abilities coming online. Those energy sensations moving through your body aren't medical mysteries. They're your spiritual centers activating. Remember, while the medical establishment treats these experiences as diseases to be cured, ancient wisdom traditions celebrated them as graduation ceremonies of the soul. You're not broken. You're breaking free. The 40-day observation practice I shared isn't just another technique. It's your roadmap for fully integrating these consciousness upgrades. Those 15 minutes daily become your sacred appointment with your evolving soul, allowing you to witness your own transformation unfold. As you continue this journey, remember that your awakening follows precise patterns mapped out by mystics for thousands of years. When you feel overwhelmed by these new frequencies, return to the breath. That pause between exhalation and inhalation remains your gateway to higher states of consciousness. Your consciousness chose this moment to awaken for a reason. You're not just evolving individually, you're part of humanity's collective leap into expanded awareness. Every person who recognizes their spiritual emergence as natural evolution helps anchor these new frequencies for others still struggling with medical misdiagnosis. If you felt resonance with these revelations, consider how this understanding might transform not just your own experience, but how you support others walking this sacred path. Your awakened awareness becomes a lighthouse for those still lost in the storm of medical gaslighting. Trust the process, honor the symptoms, embrace the evolution. You're not becoming something new, You're remembering what you've always been.